All right, welcome back, Woodward Sports Network. Couple of big pieces of news in the NFL today, and we're going to start with some rule changes. The Lions pulled their proposal. Okay, they proposed to the NFL that it should be straight record that determines home field, regardless of division champion. For instance, if Carolina wins the NFC South at 8-9, they should not host a playoff game against a 14-2 Minnesota Vikings team. Yeah. The team with the best record hosts the game. The team that wins the division at 8-9, you got a playoff spot. That's your crumb. That's what you get. That was pulled. That was withdrawn from the NFL. Obviously, it was withdrawn because they didn't have enough votes for it. First and foremost, where are you with that?
I'll let you go, Mass.
You know where I'm at. I'm all for it. I wanted that rule to happen because I don't want a team like the Lions or the Vikings from last year, 15 wins and 14 wins, having to go on the road to, let's say, Atlanta if they win 9 games and win their freaking division at 9-8. Why the hell should Atlanta host the Vikings? Why? The Vikings have 5 more wins than Atlanta. The Vikings went on the road to L.A. last year, and you know what? The Lions broke their spirit. I get it. But they went to L.A. last year instead of – they were 3 games better than L.A. And instead, they got their ass kicked. And, you know, it might have happened anyway, even if they had hosted a game. I believe a weak division, the champion, you got in. That's it. That's your award. That's what you get. You should not host a game because you won your crappy division. Meanwhile, the NFC North and the AFC North have 3-4 great teams every single year. To me, it should be accepted. But it's not, so we'll go back to status quo.
I respect that a lot, to be honest. I'll just be on the opposite side of it. Look, when you win your division, I've been in the NFL, and when you win a division, technically, let me shut up. I've never won a division. I've been in the NFL. I've had good records, and we just didn't get it done. In 2010, we were better than the Patriots, and we proved that because we beat them in the playoffs when they were the number 1 seed. But we didn't beat them in the regular season. We lost out on that. It is what it is. Our record was better than a couple other teams that had division wins, but it's winning the division. That's what happens. When you win your division, you are gifted a home game for the fans, for the crowd, for the show-off, for your family, so that you get one at the house. Now, the next one depends on whose record is better. At the end of the day, I'm glad that they rescinded it because, to me, it feels like a loser's mentality to worry about something that doesn't affect you. You're the NFC North champs 2 years in a row. So to push this rule means you think you may not win this season, which means you're looking at Minnesota or you're looking at Green Bay or Chicago. I'm glad you rescinded. Just play the game. Your job is to win the NFC North, and then after you win the NFC North, it's to move on to the NFC. I'm glad they rescinded it. Go win your division, and then you get into the dance and we figure things out.
So I posted this on my Twitter page today, too, or my X page, and I got kind of roasted for it because I am like you, Braylon.
Yeah.
I think winning a division championship should mean something.
Should.
Okay? And I guess, you know, to your point, Maz, what everybody was saying was, yeah, if you win your division, you would earn a playoff spot at 9-8. But what if you won what if you won your division at 11-5? Okay. And you didn't host a playoff game? You know, we are using the extreme example, and it is an extreme example of 8-9 hosting. But what if it's 10-7? What if the winner of the NFC North division, because of how competitive it is, you might have all 4 teams win or make a playoff berth and beat each other up? If you win that division, you've earned that division championship.
I think so.
If you win that division, you earn that division championship. You should also earn a home game. Instead of...
They are getting a home game.
Now they are. But what I'm saying is that's why I'm against the Lions rule. Yeah. If they're 10-7 and there's 3 other teams or 4 other teams that are 14-3, 15-2, 11-6, 11-6.
Last year was extreme.
That's what I'm saying. It is an extreme example.
It took the Lions to the last game of the year, the second half of the last game of the year, to clinch their division, and they were 15-2.
Now let me ask you this: if the Lions playoff proposal went through, which it didn't, just for hypothetical, if it went through, and last year that game wouldn't have mattered because both teams would have been
home game.
Both teams would have earned a home game.
Now Minnesota beats the Rams.
It would have been number 1 seed versus number 2 seed.
Good point.
I guess the week off would have mattered. So in that that is also an extreme case where the winner not only would win the division but would win the number 1 seed.
I just want to bring up something from the old days, and I'm talking the 70s. In the 70s, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, undefeated, went on the road to Pittsburgh for the AFC Championship game because that's the way the NFL did it. They did it. Each division would host a game every other year. Do you want that?
No.
The Dolphins won, barely, by the way, to get to the Super Bowl, and they wound up beating the Redskins. But, yeah,
That's fair.
the undefeated Dolphins went on the road to Three Rivers Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who got into playoffs with the Immaculate Reception. That's how they won against the Raiders, if you remember. That was that year.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If the Lions did have this proposal go through, why have divisions then? Why not
That
just go
was my question.
NFL route or NBA
College.
route and just have conferences?
Yeah.
Like so.
Well, the NBA still has divisions.
But they don't matter.
Not one person ever looks at a division.
I do.
I think I only know two. I only know that two teams.
I don't look. I don't even know who's in the Pistons division.
I know the Bulls, the Pacers, and the Bucks.
I look at the conference.
Bulls, Pacers, Bucks.
I don't know if
There's
it's
one
4
more.
teams or 5
Orlando.
teams.
No.
Oh no,
Orlando's
close.
in the East. Trying to think. Go ahead.
That's
I
Pistons
get
are
it.
in the East.
I get it.
That's the point. When you look at standings in the NBA playoffs, which we did
Philly.
for weeks, for months.
Philly.
What did we look at? We looked at a conference standing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the Pistons are the 5 seed. Oh, the Pistons are the 6 seed. 6 seed, 6 seed. Oh, they have this to get to the 3rd seed. We didn't say, oh, they're 2 games back of Milwaukee for first place in the NBA Central Division.
Sounds like baseball. Like, that's the only time you really do it. I agree with you 100%. We didn't look at it that way. I agree. If you want to do this, take the divisions out of it and reseed. Like, take the divisions out of it and reseed.
Yeah, I hated it.
I agree.
Cavaliers, you left out.
I did, and they're down the street, the closest
Cavs,
team.
Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, Bulls
I got most of them.
in the
I'll take
Central.
it.
In the Central.
One of the
It's-
things that the Lions are happy about is that the tush push remains.
I don't know why they're happy, but I guess it is what it is.
The Packers proposed a ban on the tush push, but it did not get the 75% support that the NFL owners require to pass.
Yes.
So the tush push remains.
It lost 22-10.
The tush push remains.
I'm happy.
I have a list of the teams that voted against
Yeah,
voted
let's
with
see it if
Lions.
you have that.
No, I mean I have. It wasn't in, but it was
Just
the
say it,
Browns,
then.
the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Lions, the Jets, the New England Patriots, Ravens, Saints, and the Titans voted against the tush push ban.
Yeah, so they voted for the tush push.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Look, Eagles have figured out something that is helping them, is garnered. They created. We've seen other individuals try to use the same format, and it doesn't work for them. This isn't something that is special to them. This is something that they jumped on first. They know what it is. You can't ban that. You can't ban that innovation because they won a championship. Now, woe is me. I'm good with this. Like, you want it, stop it. Because at the end of the day, you're telling me the reasons why you don't want to run it. Well, it puts unnecessary pressure on Jason Kelce or the center or the offensive lineman. That sounds like a job for the Philadelphia Eagles to decide, is it worth it? That sounds like the players, is it worth it? Me put all this pressure on my back and my knees. Jason Kelce won 2 Super Bowls. I think he would say it worked for him.
Who were those teams again? The ones
It
that
was
voted
the
for
Browns.
wait a minute.
Titans,
so
Lions,
we get our
Ravens.
wording right. These are people that want the tush push to remain. Everybody else voted against the tush push.
Yes, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Lions, the Jets, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Saints, and the Titans are for
Okay.
the
Lot
tush
of big-
push.
You needed 24 votes. You got 22.
There's one team I didn't hear, and I'm glad I did not hear them.
San Francisco?
The Buffalo Bills.
Because they use
I'm
it.
so glad that they wanted to ban the tush push because it would ban themselves from using it because they suck at it. 3 times they did a tush push in the AFC Championship
And got
game,
nothing.
and they got nothing. So this would help the Bills if it was not allowed.
Listen to me on the tush
Great
push.
comment.
Listen to me for a second.
You got the floor.
Okay. 22-10. They needed 24 votes to abolish it. They got away with it. Here's what I don't like about it. Both teams are lined up. The offense knows when the snap is. The defense is jumping off sides probably 50% of the time because of the quarterback's cadence. That's how basically they get most of their first downs, by the other team jumping off sides.
Yep.
So I just think it sucks. I think it's a bad look. I just think it sucks because Jalen Hurts could go, and the guys are jumping all over the freaking place. To me, it's just a bad look.
You got to stop it. Mazin, you have to stop it.
I don't know how then.
But you have to keep them out of 3rd and short. You got to keep them out of 4th and inches. Like, that's the job. That's the game. You got to find a way to come up with a scheme, much like OKC did last night. They schemed Anthony Edwards. They said, we're going to send all these bodies at him. Every game is going to be looking like that. That's what it is. You got to find a way to keep yourselves out of that situation, man, because
Well, it's going to be gone next year.
Is
because
it?
they got
22 is said.
22. They need 2 more. They'll get 2 more next year.
Who flips?
So, well, whoever Jeff Lurie and Jason Kelsey gave money to, flip.
Right.
That's who, because Jason Kelsey even went there to the meetings today, along with the Lurie family.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey went to politic on his ex-team. This is an ESPN
Against or
guy.
for?
For it.
For.
He's like, you got to leave it alone. So he swayed 2 teams. So did Jeffrey Lurie. He swayed 2 teams. He said, if you want to keep the quarterback safe, this is the safest play for a quarterback. That was their spiel. And they swung, and they got 2 teams to jump over to their side. It won't happen next year, I promise you.
You just better put Jalen Hurts in a situation to beat you with his arm. I know he had a tremendous postseason run. I know they won a playoff. Shout out to him on winning the Super Bowl. You still got to force him to pass to beat you. Like, that is the way to beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
It's to make them pass often and early. So whatever you have to do from 1st to 3rd down, you're going to have to figure it out. At least this season, you'll have to figure it out for another 7.
I hope it bites them in the ass this year, to be honest with you.
And maybe,
And I think it will.
look, they took advantage of a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just keep going back to there's a rule. They exploited the rule.
Yeah.
Every other team in football has the opportunity, the same exact opportunity, to perfect that play. And they can't do it. What is Philadelphia doing where they execute this play at a better than 90% clip? And there's not another team that executes it at a clip past, I think, 27% or something like that. What are they doing to perfect this play that you can't do?
It's the perfect combination. It's just like Golden State. Golden State was how many years ahead of the curve? It's like, man, we can't do that because you don't have the best shooter that ever lived, and
Right.
you don't have maybe the 4th best shooter that ever lived in the way. And then they had KD. Now you got another one of those. They have a running back that squats 900. You got a quarterback that squats 700, and you have the strongest and the best offensive line in the game and one of the best centers in the game to ever play in Jason Kelsey. They perfected it because it's a perfect storm. Kelsey, Jalen, Saquon.
And Lane Johnson was this year's.
Exactly,
recipient.
100%. So
And he has back surgery after,
it's
by
just
the way.
it's a perfect
I'm going to make a
storm.
dumb analogy.
Golden
Golden
State,
okay?
it caught up to him, though. Eventually, the league caught up. I
Well,
think that's what
well,
happened
Steph
to the
slowed
NFL.
down.
True, but this is when you got to start calling them from jumping off sides. This is where the NFL can help that rule. You start calling Jalen Hurts for being offside.
Yes.
Now it limits the extra stuff you can do. NFL, you can help these teams call them off sides because they do jump off sides.
I'm going to teach my team, the defensive line, to jump.
Hold.
I'm going to jump off because I'm going to say that guy moved.
And then
if
touch.
that guy moves a freaking half an inch, I'm going to jump off sides because they cheat.
I'm going to make a really dumb analogy, but this is the biggest extreme case that I can kind of give an example for. What if, because of J-Mo's speed, they said, you can't catch a pass longer than 40 yards down the field?
Yeah, that's
Right.
dumb. Yeah, that's dumb.
But J-Mo's faster than everybody else.
Correct.
But J-Mo,
So why can't
because there's no manipulation on J-Mo's speed. Like, there's manipulation on the offensive line
He's
jumping
not
off.
getting a head
how much
start.
they can squat?
No,
not
well,
getting
I'm
a head
talking about in
start.
terms of the head start and how they call the cadence, how they do the cadence. A little bit of manipulation with that.
No, he could
I
be
don't
in
think it was.
motion.
See, I don't think it's dumb. as dumb as you think.
I don't think it's as dumb as I think either. I'm just saying, like,
Okay,
because they do it so well, because you have an advantage based on how you draft.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the NFL. Stop it.
In that case, that's like saying like Aaron Donald should be stopped because he's the strongest guy on the field. And that's not the case.
It's crazy to me to think that because you can't stop a play, that you're going to legislate it out of the game.
Yeah,
I just don't
agree.
believe that.
I'm on the same.
I just don't believe that. I mean, even if you look at Josh Allen, I keep going back to Josh Allen because they tried the tush push 3 times in the playoffs and failed all 3 times. This guy's 6'6", 280 pounds or something like that.
Maybe it's easier for the little guy and Jalen Hurts.
Half a yard?
Jalen Hurts is the little guy. It's easier for him to sneak.
Maybe it is. Same as
Josh Allen is a huge man.
The New Orleans Saints should do it with Spencer Rattler.
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 I like Rattler.
Rattler.
Because with Jalen Hurts 6'2", 6'3", or he's 6'2", squatting 700. His center of gravity, to your point, like when he gets up under the center, he's exploding into the offensive line. He's exploding behind Jason Kelce in the center, and that's the difference. Like Josh Allen, yeah, he's 6'5", 245, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same center of gravity. It's 100%. Peyton Manning, you would think tall targets. He's the worst quarterback sneak quarterback of all time.
Yep.
And Peyton Manning's what, 6'6"? Head give him 6'7"?
Yeah. His neck was a foot long.
Hey, Bray, I wanted to ask you about the NFL, too. The NFL is allowing players now to participate in flag football in the 2028 Olympics.
Don't do it.
There is one player, and he's on the graphic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, basically, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the player most likely from the Detroit Lions that would be involved in something like this in 2028. I could be wrong, but
Makes me sick to my stomach.
when you talk about flag football, Jahmyr Gibbs is the first guy that comes up. I want him nowhere near this. I understand that the NFL doesn't want Zimbabwe to win in football, the gold medal, and they want the Americans to
They don't
win.
like Africa?
They just don't. They want America to win at football.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, I don't want my guys involved at all.
Whenever I think of flag football, I think about Robert Edwards, who played
The Beach, Pro Bowl.
100%. Like 1997, 1998, had a tremendous year with the Patriots. They won. We went to the World.
Rookie of the year, wasn't he?
Right.
Yes, and go to the Super Bowl. They lose, obviously, to Brett Favre, who is he's a douchebag. I watched that special. That's a whole nother topic. He's just great quarterback.
Is that out on Netflix
It
now?
is.
All right.
Great quarterback. Douchebag. But anyway, I'm not a fan of trying to do something in that space that's not what you do. You can say, well, other sports do it. When you play golf in the PGA, it's the same in the Olympics. When you play tennis, when you play baseball, when you play softball, when you play soccer, it is the same sport that you're playing. Flag football is not the same sport that these guys play because now the competitive level goes up. There's no pads. I'm going to do this. Now you get hurt. Now you get ACLs. Now you get Achilles for the country. Look, I love this country. 1,000% I do. But if I'm an owner, if I'm Sheila Ham, Nope. You can't have Jahmyr. You can't have Amon-Ra. You can't have Saquon. You can't have Christian McCaffrey. We need these guys for Super Bowls, not to prove to the country that this is the dominant country. We won basketball 2024. We'll win it again in 2028. Let that be the message you take. I'm not letting Jahmyr Gibbs go. You need to find some college guys that maybe go to the UFL, or you need to find some guys that are just fresh out of the league, etc. That's where you need to go get these guys. Not the stars of your league. If you're Roger Goodell.
A lot of these players want to do it, Bray.
It's
because they want a gold medal.
But it's not about what these players want. Like, this is just coming from the other side. This is not me as a player. This is me understanding from the front office point. No. The league is bigger than that. What if we send a bunch of guys? Because Jalen Hurts is the guy that was in the commercial during the Olympics. He's the one that throws a pass at the Coliseum over. Shout out to 84. Excuse me. What if Jalen Hurts gets hurt?
Yep.
And Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you got all these stars, and now you got to come back and have a 2028 football season. What does that look like?
Here's the guys that will want to do it. Okay, here's guys that would want to do it.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
Anybody that's already gotten paid. That has had a career already. You look 3 years down the road.
Right.
It's going to be all guys that have made over $30 million, over $40 million, over $50 million. Because if you get injured in this, that is just a waste of an injury It's a waste of a football season. No player, and I would say over/under a half, and I would take the under on players that have already gotten a second contract in the NFL. There's going to be nobody 0 to 5.
Yeah.
Nobody 0 years to 5 years in that because they haven't gotten paid yet. I think I'm steadfast in that belief.
I do you one better. I agree with you 100%. I say it won't be any players that aren't a year or two removed from retirement.
Yes.
Like I'm talking about, like Keenan Allen, he would be like one of the first people I think about. Keenan Allen's got about a year or two left. Like I watched him play last year. He was phenomenal against the Lions, but realistically, he's not the same. He's lost a ton of steps. Like those are the type of players. Kenny Galladay, what are you doing right now? Because damn sure ain't in the NFL. This is a guy that played a year or two ago that I will hire. You got to get guys on that wavelength. I'm not putting any of my superstars at risk because the season is way more important.
We'll see what Roger Goodell says because he's going to want his players in the Olympics. This guy is let's face it, he wants them. Did you hear he wants international games every week of the year, and that's coming soon? There's going to be an international game.
Yeah, I hate
this
that.
This guy, and they didn't vote on his deal today. They were supposed to vote on his new deal. They pushed it off to another time. He's over $45 million a year he makes. He listens to what the owners say, but I believe that he is going to put our players, the best NFL players, will be playing in that 2028 Olympics flag football. They want flag football. They want flag football bad. They're going to have a league. There will be an NFL flag football league. It's coming. It is on its way.
In that case, Mass, he's an idiot. Looking at, and I love Roger Goodell.
I agree with you.
I legitimately love him. I got a chance to see him 2 years ago when I went for a Jets game. Super good dude. He's different than when I first met him. I definitely appreciate him. With that being said, he'd be an absolute idiot. When I go to Lifetime, when I was playing basketball, man, like back when I would play basketball or right when I first retired or even when I still was playing, do you know guys lick their chops when they see an NFL talent come in or a baseball talent come in or a hockey talent come in?
They want to show.
They want to prove something.
Yeah.
What? I don't even play basketball. But they got him on the court. This is my chance to prove something.
Yeah.
Do you know how many international players will see Jahmyr Gibbs and like, ooh, this is my chance to make a name for myself? And usually what happens with making a name for myself, it's going a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
A little bit too hard. And now there's what? Now there's an injury, which you pretty much wanted to do in a certain sense. That's what everybody involved from other countries, that's going to be the mindset, man. Like, just don't do it. Jeezy, don't do it.
And then, another thing, I hope a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't feel like he owes it to Germany to do.
He's too
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you've got guys that have dual citizenship or from other countries, and you're doing this. And could you see Amon-Ra St. Brown being his heartstrings being pulled and wanting to play for Team Germany? I mean, I would understand that as a human being, somebody where that culture is such a part of who you are. But as a Lions fan, I wouldn't want him to do that.
Fans.
I would understand it. I would absolutely understand it if that's something that he wanted to do. But I would hate it as a Lions fan because I just wouldn't want him to get hurt. And
Lions
if
fan.
he was going to play in the Olympics, I would want him to do so, Braylon, with the best athletes in the world.
Okay. I was going to say in 2028, if the Lions have won the Super Bowl, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I don't care.
No, but what I'm saying, him. I'm talking about him. What I've perceived of Amon-Ra St. Brown watching this podcast, meeting him a couple times, he cares about this team, he cares about this Super Bowl, and he cares about this city. If they haven't won, I don't think he goes, regardless of his roots, his roots in Germany. If they have won, you see him on the podcast, you see him on Netflix.